Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Hangout podcast. Can you believe we are on season 4, episode 2? I have a lovely lady here, Hailey Baker. Hailey and I met, I think, like September, Hailey?
Yep.
All right, and we're going to dig a little bit into that because that brings out some of the networking events and stuff like that we get to go to. But Hailey, I want to do an introduction, but who does a better introduction than yourself? So tell tell our guest a little bit about you, and we're going to dive into something that's really special today, you guys, because we're going to talk about how to take your gifts and talents of what you love, your passion, and turn it into a business. Because Hailey's got something different going on.
Well, thanks, Kylie. Hi, guys. So my name is Hailey. I am the CEO of Medium for the Missing. I'm a psychic medium, but I'm also a private investigator. I specialize in missing persons cases. I found my passion in finding missing people and bringing closure to those families, using my gift for something good. And I started doing that in 2022. And now it has grown into more than just missing persons. It's finding the missing people that fall through the cracks in the court system, and, you know, bringing to light all of the people that get overlooked because they're in a rural community and things like that. And so that's what I do. That's who I am.
So, Hailey, we're going to unpack that in some boxes because I want to kind of take it back. So, you started your business in what, 2022?
Yep. Yep,
Okay.
I owned a metaphysical shop for about 7 months prior to starting Medium for the Missing. And
Okay.
that's, yeah, I quit
I
it the
love
day after I did my first tarot reading.
I love the name Medium for the Missing. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your background because I want people to really relate to like, hey, wait, that kind of sounds like maybe what I would do. And you guys, I'm not talking about the exact business. I'm saying if you were, for example, all right, I like lemonade. I like cookies. I like to care for older people. I like to clean houses. This is exactly where Hailey was at. She loved this. She has a passion. So now, how is she going to turn it into a business? So listen to this lady. She's got a lot of wisdom.
Thanks, Kylie. Yeah, so, when I started out being a business owner, I figured out quite early on that just following the normal path everybody else follows wasn't for me. I had ended up dropping out of high school my freshman year and getting my GED, moved out and moved away from home at 17. And so I started a metaphysical shop because I had loved doing tarot. I loved crystals. It was my whole thing. But it was never very fulfilling and I could never get it to the next step. Um, and so I've done tarot since I was 17.
Mhm.
So we're going close on 8 years now. And I one day had just gotten an overwhelming feeling for a missing persons case that I followed since he went missing, to do a tarot reading. So I reached out to the family and was like, hey, like, I would love to read tarot for you guys. I don't know exactly why I'm being called to do this, but I feel like I need to. And so I sat down and I did a tarot reading and ended up falling asleep sitting up on my bed after I did my reading. Woke up
Mhm.
13 hours later and I was like, whoa, I can't I can't walk away from this not being able to placate what I'm getting through the tarot reading with what's actually being found as evidence. And so that's how I started it. I closed Black Hill Metaphysical's doors that day, and immediately enrolled in classes to become a PI.
That is super cool. That is super cool. So what was it um what was it like to enroll in becoming a PI? Like give us a little background. That's badass, man. That's cool.
Yeah, so with South Dakota, it was different because a lot of states you have like specific licensure requirements. Like you have to do like 1,000 hours of, training with police officers and things like that. Whereas with me, my main focus was the missing persons, cold cases, the trafficking things and how to spot all of that, how to handle all of that, and how to investigate all of that. And so I did a lot of digging into different courses that I could take. And I just kind of went by following my intuition, honestly, on the courses that I took and the skills that I learned and which ones I chose over the others. South Dakota, you just have to have a sales tax and use license. And then, depending upon how you want to run your private investigations, then you have to look at, do you need to do extra training with law enforcement? Do you need to, have special certifications or licensing? But for me, I don't have to where I'm at. So that's one thing that's really good, is that I was able to get into it in a matter of, I got the credentials because I knew I wanted the credentials, not because I needed the credentials.
Well, that is cool. So I, I something just popped into my brain, and it's not like we might be able to dig it out a little bit further along. But Hailey, talk to me a little bit about, would you have a little bit of imposter syndrome in this situation of like, hey, I was I knew tarot, for example, but I did not know how to be a private investigator. So, that's kind of like something different. And were you a little like, nervous? Were you a little bit like, am I going to be a good one? How do I know this? I, because I think a lot of people can identify
Right.
that imposter syndrome into, am I going to be good enough?
Right. And that's something that I've always struggled with, of the, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to, make it?
Mhm.
And so when I started, I guess I didn't necessarily have a whole lot of it. Um, Mainly because I knew that I was following my gift, my ability, and that I was able to show the tangible result of what I was doing.
Mhm.
But it took a good year and a half of working at that, and going and doing, boots on the ground searching, of doing, 8 9 10 case intakes, and having these cold cases that are coming to me. And finally, when I got my first Amber Alert, that was when it all clicked. I had struggled
Mm.
for a few months prior to it. I'd gotten a phone call though about an Amber Alert, and so here in South Dakota, I started digging into it and was able to actually like locate a location for boots on the ground, and they found her less than a quarter mile away.
Wow,
Um,
that is super cool.
and from there, it's just taken off. We've closed out 2 other cases since, and I guess with the imposter syndrome, I wouldn't necessarily say that it affects me in a way to which it negatively impacted my business.
Mhm.
With what I do, I can be a little terrified sometimes. If I do a
Mhm.
case intake and it has something to do with a bigger network of people that I don't want to try and touch as a one-man band.
Yeah.
So I have to really vet out the cases that I take on.
Okay.
But besides that, there's not a whole lot of it. It's definitely a different area though. I can understand where somebody might be a little scared. I know for me, getting out there and really putting my voice out there, it wasn't until, the community of entrepreneurs that we're both a part of, that I had joined, that I really felt comfortable doing that and felt
That's
like I was able to make that impact.
That's awesome. So, give us a little bit of like a life in a day. I think it would be kind of fun, like for people to say, "Hey, what is it like to be Hailey Baker?" And you're the cold case. Um, you're on a cold case, or you're on an Amber Alert. I think that would be kind of cool. It's to just give us a little bit of a life in that time, and then maybe I might twist it up a little bit on a business aspect.
Yeah. So, I mean, for example, just today, even this morning, after having some technical difficulties for other things I had going on this morning, and obviously still having technical difficulties on my laptop, I had gotten a message from a lady that I work with here in South Dakota on missing persons in South Dakota. And her niece had passed away over the weekend, and it was very suspicious circumstances. And she goes, "Can you please help?" And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And so it's now led into, the last few hours have been dedicated to digging into, what were the circumstances surrounding this, and investigating all of that. And seeing where it overlaps. We have another missing guy that went missing less than a mile away from where her niece was found.
Hmm.
And so for me, the two are too closely related to not at least look and see if there's some overlap there. And so now it's just strategizing how to best serve that family. I typically, if I don't have casework that I'm doing, I'm either
Mhm.
in meetings with people via Zoom or via in person, working on collaborations for different, nonprofits, not organizations, and individuals that want to create a change, whether it be with the criminal justice system or it be with missing persons and sex trafficking or having resources for at-risk juveniles, things like that. And so there's a lot that goes on currently behind the scenes that haven't all gotten out to the public yet, so I can't disclose too much.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a lot going on. And I'm 2025 is going to be big and it's going to be impactful and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So, a little bit, I want to ask you, how did you, again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into taking your passion, taking your gifts, and turning it into a business, because that is really, really important to me. Because I think that no matter what, we, as entrepreneurs, you can take anything that you want to do that is viable. We're not talking, I mean, it has to be a viable kind of business idea and turning it into a business. But how did you kind of figure out where your business model is and like how the heck are you going to make money doing this?
Yeah, so I it's funny, I've never shared this on any other podcast, so you get to be the first to hear about it.
Ooh,
My first case that I did tarot for, I knew that I needed to investigate it. And I didn't plan on taking on other missing persons cases. I didn't plan on all of a sudden having a huge influx of all these people saying, "Hey, can you look at this case? Can you look at this case?" And so for me, it wasn't until after those started coming in that I was like, "Whoa, okay, everybody wants me to do this. Let's figure it out." Um, I'm 23 and I started doing this, it'll be 3 years in December. So
okay.
I at 20 years old, really had to figure out, coming from a lower income home and knowing what it's like to not really be able to afford certain things like hiring a PI.
Hmm.
I wanted to base my company on not having to charge the loved ones of the missing person. And so where it sits is I have a very, very low discounted rate for the family and loved ones. When they have me come on, I have a specific set rate if you want me to read tarot, and then a specific rate if you want me to do the investigation as well. And I'm currently working with a few different people. I have a private investment coming in very soon. Um, and it's all about the connections that you make. It's all about the people that you want to, connect yourself with. If you put yourself out there and you connect with people, it's going to lead you to opportunity. Um, for me, I've known for about 6 months that I was going to be getting this investment in 2025. And I couldn't tell if it's going to come in tomorrow or if it's going to come in 6 months. But I know it's
Sure.
coming in 2025. And so basing all of my future plans with the business is really based on that. I don't really have an ROI,
Hmm.
so I can't get a basic business loan. And
Hmm.
that, I have a bad personal credit because at 18 years old, I was like, let's take out a loan and then mess up on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's, so I can understand completely being in a situation where it's like, well, I would love to start my own business, but I can't do it. I don't know how. I don't have the funding. I don't have the ability. No, you have the ability. Like,
Right.
you have to will that ability, though. You have to be willing to work for it. You have to be willing to put blood, sweat, tears, and countless hours into it.
Yep, I love it. So it's interesting, Haley, because you're talking to my heart. You know that I have a passion for working with the reentry community, working with veterans and first responders, and helping them start a business and getting it out of that minimum wage hellhole. And we talk to people exactly in your situation. It's like, listen, okay, I don't care if you got a GED or maybe you skipped that and simply you did not get a GED. You're a high school dropout, you're a whatever. That doesn't matter. That does
Hmm.
not matter. If you follow your passion and you put on the hard work, you do the business momentum that you need to. But also, you got into where it is that you and I met an entrepreneurials group. So that way you can get some mentors to help you, to
Hmm.
mold you, to say, hey, listen, why don't you think about it a little bit more that way? And
Yeah.
and then you're like, well, the light goes on and you're figuring it out how you're making money out of what you love to do.
Yeah. Honestly, had I not joined the community that we're both part of, I don't think that my business would have gone anywhere. I was at a point when I had gotten my invite that I was ready to just stop. I was ready to hand over all of my case notes to somebody else and just stop because I didn't have that hope. I didn't have that oomph in me anymore to keep fighting for, something that seemed so far away. And it broke my heart every single day that I thought
Mhm.
about it. And then I came into our community and I met some of the most amazing people in my entire life, some of the best mentors and role models that I have and will have probably for the rest of my life. And they all saw what I wanted to do. They saw the passion that I had and they saw that I was doing something to really change the world. And they didn't look at it as oh, this is an opportunity for me to grow financially. They looked at it as an
Mhm.
opportunity. I can grow as a person. I can help this girl shape her future and shape the future of the generations to come after her, my generations that are, above her and below her. And what if this, what if that? But at the end of the day, I can really help change the world. And they they're the reason that I know how to form a business plan. They're the reason that I know how
Mm.
to show up for my business and how to really advocate for my business. Whereas before, I didn't understand it at all. I'm a first generation business owner in my family. And so
Wow.
I changed the narrative from being a, freshman dropout to first generation business owner and a leading advocate and ally, not only for missing persons, but for the criminal justice rebuild that needs to happen. And I'm only continuing to grow those big things. And so,
Mhm.
you know, I could sit in the face of self pity or self doubt
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
allow it to win, but I know that I'm meant for more. And I just have to dig deep and you take it day by day. There's days where it's just not that for me. And
Yeah,
that's okay. We all have bad days. But when you have that bad day, reach out, you know? Don't let the bad days win because you don't know how to get out. Reach out for help. Somebody's
right.
sitting there with their hand extended.
Yeah. Haley, that is so amazing. And I love this because it goes deeper than just simply the entrepreneurial world or building a business world. It goes so much deeper because I, I preach and teach and I breathe everything that I can do to help somebody stay out of that minimum wage hellhole, right? And
Yep.
how you can pick yourself up and you can be a better brother, mother, sister, father, husband, wife. You can be a better community provider when you're doing something that's actually, you know, giving you the financial reward because it is. Everybody's got to get paid. Everybody's got to have that. And but you're doing something that you're fulfilling yourself with, but also helping so many people.
Yeah. The feeling that I have that I get when I close a case out, when I know that I'm able to help a family. Zachary DeMoss is a prime example. I had seen the Facebook post that was posted by his friend initially about his disappearance and what had happened leading up to him disappearing. I was like, he's not dead. Like, he's not dead. He's out in those woods. And I looked and I ended up, what happened was I had pinpointed a location and I had sent it to boots on the ground. But because I'm a medium and this is out in,
Mhm.
the the wilderness of Idaho and Montana, they're like, okay, this woo woo lady is not, she's not doing anything for us in South Dakota. So I connected with his friends and family that were running his Facebook page and I helped them navigate how to even do it. Your friend and your family,
Oh,
they're
that's smart.
missing. And you
Mm.
have to now not only try and navigate coordinating search parties, but you have to run a Facebook group. You have no service for anybody that's boots on the ground out in the middle of the wilderness. So it's
Mhm.
just an added pressure on there and, the bears and things like that. And so you've got all this worry going on and you're trying to figure it all out. And I was able to help them running that
Ah,
Facebook group and take over a lot of the burden of that. And 4 days later, what had happened was I was getting ready to sit down and do a tarot reading that afternoon. His mom had finally said, let's pull some cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a call from one of his best friends, and he goes, they found him. I was like, what do you mean?
Oh
He
my
goes,
gosh.
well, somebody posted on the Facebook that they found him. We don't have confirmation yet. We're waiting, but they found him. And I was like, okay, let's take a breath. And so it was the longest 30 minutes, I think, of all of our lives. Um, and I'm sitting there in just anticipation, and I was on the phone with one of his coworkers that had been boots on the ground, talking about, what all he had seen and where all he had gone to see if he had gone out to the spot that I had located. Well, then I get a phone call back from his best friend. I said, hold on, let me answer this. And they had found him, thankfully alive, and
Oh
life
my
flight was
goodness.
on their way out to go get him. And I bawled. And just the amount of love and just peace that came over not only myself, but over his friends and family that I was all on the phone with. It was something that felt like it was out of a Hallmark movie almost,
Yeah, I
is the
bet.
only way that I can explain it. A real tearjerker. And he's gonna make, he's made a full recovery for the most part. He's still, some of
Mhm.
the mobility things he's still working on, but he's alive, he's well, he's able to see tomorrow, and like he has all of his limbs. And
Wow.
it was truly, truly amazing. And I wouldn't change that feeling for anything. I wouldn't give it away for anything. I would much rather spend the rest of my life in a place where, I can get
Yeah.
by. I'm not scraping for pennies, but I can get by and know that the work I do is able to give families
Yeah.
that feeling than any monetary value will ever give me.
Yeah. But you know what? People like us, Haley, you're gonna get there because your reward is not, you are not looking for the money, but the money will follow you because you're
Hmm.
passionate about it.
Exactly.
Um, and that in itself will be the reward. And so I'm really, really happy about that. That is awesome. Okay, so now I think you've got some announcements. You're going to be moving back from, or not back from, but you're going to be moving eventually from South Dakota to Scottsdale, where we
Yep.
met with Elias. So that was great. And you're going to be in the Sun Belt state and get out of that cold state.
Yes, yes. It is currently snowing, and it looks very gross and windy outside of my window. The last 2 days, everything above wind chill temperature has still been negative.
Oh,
It was negative 32 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on
oh
Monday with the
my,
wind chill. Yeah. So I'm so ready for the sun.
I bet.
I know that I had seen another one of our alliances members on Facebook Live last night, and I jumped on. I said, "It's negative 15 here without wind chill. You're in a hoodie that's not zipped. That's light. I'm jealous."
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile,
That's
I'm
funny.
bundled up in my Carhartt and my
Yeah.
boots, and I'm like, "All
Oh,
right, let's go freeze." And so
yikes,
I
yikes.
am
Well, I can't wait to see you in Arizona when you get there. And
likewise.
you have been such a dream and such, a breath of fresh air, but also an inspiration to people. So you guys, I don't care what your past experiences are, what your, if you're afraid of something, get out of that box and do it. Start
Yes.
your business, and you know what? Grab a mentor to help you do that. So, Haley, thank you so much, you guys. I really, really am so glad to have you on, and it's been fun. And so, you guys, Haley's show notes in the show notes will be how to contact her. So, her Facebook, her Instagram, her LinkedIn, and so that way you can reach out. And we hope that we can help you make a big, big, big difference. So, bye for now. And if you're looking to be a guest on my podcast, reach out, and I would love to have you as a guest. Bye for now.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Kylie.